Hey everybody, Lawrence here with Dirty Basement Terrain coming at you with another one. Now, shingles for roofs. There are many ways of doing it. I work almost exclusively with XPS, but you could use cardstock, you could use cereal box. There's lots of ways of doing it. But again, being that I work almost exclusively in XPS, I carve all my shingles out of XPS. Now, you can carve out your shingles individually and lay them down. And for certain buildings, that's how you're going to have to do it. But if you've seen any of my recent videos with houses, you know that I've started to use shingle jigs. These are very useful and very handy to have when you got to crank out a lot of shingles very fast. I mean, you don't have to do it fast, but this does speed up the process. Again, when you got a lot of shingles to do, jigs help. So let me walk you through the assembly of one and the use of one. Now I know you've seen me use these on videos before, but this is just a video for strictly the jig itself. So let's get to it. This is pretty simple. This is Shingle Jig 1A. I'm just making sure I have it properly lined up. Basically, one letter, the number has to face out, and then on the opposite side it has to face in. It'll make sense once you see me assemble. Right now I'm just test fitting the end pieces. Make sure they're not too tight or not too loose. Just test fit, make sure everything's good to go. So far not too bad. Tear them apart here. They are a little bit tight, so I am going to grab my file and just sand away a little bit. When gluing them, I could gem them in, but I also don't want to put too much pressure on the jig itself because the actual shingle separations creates a little bit of a weak point, so I don't want to push my luck. In here, fits in good after sanding, so let's glue this puppy together. Basically, place glue where the two pieces are going to contact each other. And then again, I am using wood glue because I'm gluing wood to wood. And it's just time to assemble this puppy. I mean, it's not rocket surgery. You just got to make sure that you match up the actual shingle separations on either side. Pretty easy. Of course, I'm just wiping away excess on the inside just so I don't get little bumps that may occur once the glue dries. And now I got it good on. Now I've already test fitted and sanded this piece, so I'm just doing the gluing right now. But again, just gluing where the pieces will make contact with the sides, the sides. Get together, wipe off the excess, and I'm using the grid on the cutting mat just to make sure everything's squared up so it'll be easier to use later on. And of course, wipe off the inside excess again. That's it. Literally, other than waiting glue to dry, that's it. And here, now that the glue is dry, I'm actually going to use this. Now I've already cut a blank out that's 1 inch by 5 3/4 inches. It's a little bit long. Matter of fact, I usually do the length I actually make really long to actually assembly line these things. But it's just a matter of following along the pattern. The jigs are the same as any template. It's a guide to help you follow a pattern. This is exactly what it's for. You're going to be able to get a lot of shingles done really quickly. If you're building something that requires shingles and you need a lot of them, then use it. The Shingle Jig saves you so much time. If it makes sense to use one rather than doing individual shingles, and you have access to a Proxon and access to XPS, yeah, you should be doing this. But again, this is really simple to use. I'm just following the pattern and slowly working my way through. I'm not in any major rush here. I'm taking my time, move along the flat. When it gets to a separation, go down into the separation, pull it out, move along the flat, go down the separation. You know, again, following a pattern. That's all I'm doing with this. And in the long run, it's going to save me time when I have to shingle a roof. And actually, if you want to, you could cut a whole bunch up ahead of time before you even think of making a building. Okay, now I got it all done. Push it out. There you go. I got a whole lot of shingles made right here. Now here comes the second part. Now I'm putting my guider up here against the wire, and I'm getting it as thin as I'm comfortable with doing. And I'm going to start slicing it off, because you don't want a 1-inch thick row of shingles. But you slice thin potato chip like slices, and see, it's bendable, and you have a sheet of shingles. Say that 5 times fast. Sheet of shingles, sheet of shingles. Go. Now, you can use a wire brush, or I like to use a hard plastic bristle brush to texture the shingles. Give it a more natural look, as you can see there. Or you can do it this way. I like to add the texture prior to cutting slices off, when the XPS isn't as delicate. In the thin slices, eventually, if you do it with the thin slices like that, you're going to rip it. And also, I like to texture the ends of the shingle to give it little nicks and knots, which I sometimes don't see people doing. And again, run a thin slice. And this is how you do it. I mean, it's not hard. It's going to save you time, and I really love using the Shingle Jigs. So, if you can get one, get one. They're really useful. Hey everybody, if you made it this far, it means you watched to the end. As always, I do appreciate that. Again, I really like Shingle Jigs. Will I discontinue making individual shingles? No, because there are certain houses I think that individual shingles will work better, like cone roofs and whatnot, but I am most definitely going to be using Shingle Jigs wherever they are best to use. If I don't have to cut out individual shingles for a project, you bet I'm going to be jumping and using the Shingle Jigs. All these Shingle Jigs came from Dungeons by Hands. You can check them out on Etsy. There's a link down in the description. There are other places you can get jigs like this, but I get mine from Dungeons by Hand. So, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.